We're getting ready.
Good morning, Bellingham. Welcome to the 10 o'clock update. Today is Wednesday, May 13th. I'm Cindy McNulty from the Board of Selectmen. Happy to host the show today. We're going to start off first with Deputy Chief Mark with the numbers, please.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you all for attending today. Massachusetts numbers, 79,332 cases with 5,141 deaths. In the U.S., we have 1,408,636 cases with 83,425 deaths and 296,746 recovered. That's good recovery.
Sure is. All right, Esther, how about Bellingham specific? What are you seeing?
Good morning. As of this morning, we have had 605 residents tested with a total of 117 cases, 24 active cases, and we are up to 84 recovered cases and 9 deaths.
That's a big change from yesterday to today, right? That's another 12 people that have recovered.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have a question for Esther?
Yeah. Yes. Go ahead, Dennis. You have a
While
question.
we're talking numbers, Esther, we did have an email come in, and essentially they're concerned about the trends in Bellingham. It seems that Bellingham stats are trending in a bad way and not consistent with state trends for the Mass Department of Public Health dashboard. You can go online and see any community or the state. What's your take on that as far as how Bellingham's trending relative to cases?
So Bellingham actually is faring pretty well. We did have a significant increase in testing beginning in the beginning of May, I believe. And we since have had less residents tested per day, which means people are not going in for testing as much. People are feeling well, so they're not going in to be tested or trying to be tested. And then we're getting, a couple of positive cases at a time. I was just trying to find the most recent numbers for surrounding towns. And unfortunately, they haven't been updated in a little bit. So it looks like we're kind of on par with Franklin, but I don't have specific numbers right now. As I said, they haven't really been updated.
Esther, I'll be sitting.
Do you want to come up to the?
I'll be sitting in on my weekly meeting with the Region 2 Board of Health members on Friday. I'll send you a link if you're interested in sitting in and listening. But we're pretty much on par with Franklin, Milford.
Yeah, we're actually on par with the surrounding towns, and I'd love to sit in on that meeting. A lot of the local towns actually have not provided updates to Milford Daily, and that's where it's broken down by community. I mean, the last time Franklin submitted any information was back on April 22nd. So there's nothing more recent really in regards to the surrounding towns for data.
Okay.
Did you want to do both questions or come back, Dennis?
That was the
one question?
that was the one that we wanted to touch on. There was one other question. People were concerned about a restaurant they went to, and some people wearing masks, some weren't. Unfortunately, it's difficult to have the Board of Health or the police running to every restaurant in town. And what I'd say is, if you go to a restaurant and it doesn't look like they're complying, maybe that's a place you don't want to go and visit or frequent. We've had complaints like that off and on. I think for the most part, from what I've seen, restaurants are complying, and I will give this specific one to Bruce, the health agent, to take a look at, because they're mentioning a specific restaurant. I don't want to say who it is, but we'll give that to Bruce. But the advice, because other people have come to me and said the same thing. Well, I went to a certain restaurant and some of the people there weren't wearing masks. If you're not comfortable, then you should probably think about going somewhere else.
A lot of the mask is to protect that person from the public and the public from them. So if the person in the background is doing food prep and they can see that person, but that person is not wearing a mask, I mean, the person should be wearing gloves if they're handling the food. but you know, it's very difficult because I was a line chef for years. You put that on, the poor guy's gonna overheat, and sweat into the food. But the mask is not meant to prevent the food from catching the coronavirus, because obviously you can't spread it that way. But people get kind of, nervous to see that. The big thing is, the person who's dealing with the public needs to be wearing the mask.
Right.
I've got some questions in the CDC from my Friday meeting, and I'm waiting to see if we got a response back on who in the food processing needs to wear the mask, if everybody or not, because it's going to cause some issues.
Not right now.
The guy's going to pass out in the back because he's so hot.
Right. Okay.
So it's, people see that and they got to understand who's responsible. Everybody thinks, okay, everybody should be wearing a mask, but it's not necessarily the case.
Okay.
I mean, it's there to protect, but what are they protecting?
Right. The food. Right. While you're here, Bruce, do you want to give an update on what you mentioned this morning on the 9 o'clock relative to the mosquito spraying?
Sure. I got an email this morning. Starting on May 26th, Norfolk County will be starting their active spraying. It can either be by truck or by car, by plane, as they feel necessary. They have a map that they can show if somebody's interested by going to their site, www.Norfolk Mosquito Control. I think it's .org or something. But if they go to their site, the other thing they can do is they can request spraying in their backyards by filling out the request. A number of people have done that last year when we had the Triple E or the COVID. Not the COVID, the Triple E or the West Nile concerns. But
okay, great, thank you.
Just want to make everybody aware
That they can look it up.
they can look it up now, and
Right.
it's mosquito season, so wear your mosquito spray. Try to wear long sleeves if you're out after night.
And of course, your mask while you're at it.
And when you're at it, your mask.
Don't forget that.
The triple threat, right?
And mosquitoes do not carry the COVID, so if you do get bit by one, don't freak out.
I feel like you got to get tested. All right, thank you, Bruce. Larry, you have a quick update for us?
Thank you. We've been getting a lot of applications in for early voting and absentee ballots, and some people are unclear as to where they can find the application. If you go to the BellinghamMA.org site, and when you go to the home page, there's a red banner about COVID information, and right underneath there's a selection for news. And you click on the news and you will see where it talks about the election, and the link to the application is embedded right in that article. So it's pretty easy to find once you know where to look, right? And also the last day for registering to vote for the election has been extended to May 28th, so that people that need to register, if you're already registered, you don't need to do so. But if you want to register or change party, you have to do it by May 28th. And just a reminder, there are 3 ways to vote. You can vote through an absentee ballot with no excuse necessary. You can vote an early voting ballot, again, no excuse necessary. And then we will have the polls open from noon until 8 p.m. on June 9th. Great. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
We went through all the questions, right?
We did.
Okay, now it's time for our very special guest. We've invited Jim Kupfer to come on today. For most of you who don't know, Jim is our town planner, but he also has been wearing a multitude of hats during the COVID pandemic. Not only is he the Zoom call master, but he's also been facilitating our conversations as a town on how to get our local businesses ready for when we do get the green light to open businesses. So I've invited Jim to come on today and just kind of talk about some of the background and where some of the resources are for our local residents, or our business owners, I should say, to start to look at. Jim?
Excellent. Thank you for having me, Cindy. And actually, I prefer Zoom Call Wizard. That's the technical.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
That's all right. So yeah. So we're closely monitoring how to safely reopen the local Bellingham economy. We're looking at it from many different ways. We have a local action committee that meets every day at 9 a.m. Esther has been integral in that. Mark has been leading the way for us. So we're looking at it from both, the health and safety side, but also, keeping our business community in mind and how we can, help them moving forward. We're closely monitoring the state's phasing plan and seeing, where there are creative solutions here at the local level to help each and every business so that no business is left behind. I think we've all noticed that, some of the larger businesses have been able to operate and make do through this tough time, but some of the smaller businesses may not have. So, we're looking, again, strategically at creative ways to assist, and we're always open to ideas, certainly. Recently, as of a couple weeks ago, the Board of Selectmen, as you know, Cindy, has started the Economic Development Subcommittee. That subcommittee has both the selectmen, members of the Planning Board, Board of Health, and a member of the business community, and it's always open to the public to get interest and ideas. And that group has started to reach out to businesses that not only are deemed essential so that they can operate, but those that aren't defined as essential but have an opportunity here in the near future to open up, and how they can do that safely. One of them, one category, are restaurants. Obviously, the inside of restaurants aren't open now. You can't consume on site at this time. However, looking at the state's phasing plan and looking at states elsewhere and how they're dealing with restaurants, it looks like very likely there will be a limited capacity for restaurants on the interior, in the near future. Not yet, but in the near future. So what we're doing right now is we're reaching out to all the restaurants in the community to get creative ideas of how we can improve upon that. So, anyone who's run a restaurant or knows the finance constraints of a restaurant knows that, 25 or 40% capacity just isn't going to cut it for a small business, a small restaurant. So what we're looking to do is look at the restaurant, each individual restaurant, and come up with a game plan to maybe improve capacity on the exterior. The summer months are hopefully coming soon here, and there might be some opportunity to have capacity outside where tables are spread appropriately, and our inspection team made up of police, fire, Board of Health, and building can review and confirm that the health and safety aspects are met still, but also give restaurants a couple more tables to make ends meet. So we're reaching out to them now. We're hoping to get some buy-in from the restaurant community, and we're also looking at other categories, other small businesses that might be able to think creatively and make do through this tough time. So we're always interested. We have COVID-19 business at bellinghamma.org. You can reach out at any point. Myself and others that staff that Economic Development Committee are eagerly looking at creative ways. So we're always interested in ideas, and we welcome input.
Jim, do you want to just touch real quickly on the resources that are available on our town website? I know you put a lot of very important information on there for reference.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the bellinghamma.org website, so under boards and committees, we have our new Economic Development Subcommittee. That webpage is going to be continually populated with up-to-date information, not only from the local level, but from the state level. So any guidance that we receive from the state in terms of businesses that are able to open up, that running list of essential businesses that the state deems essential, will continually be expanded upon, and then those safe standards for opening, the safe social distancing and other DPH, Department of Public Health guidance in terms of how to open appropriately and properly. I think that can be a go-to for any business who's looking at has questions or concerns and just doesn't quite know what to do, what their next steps are, because there's so much so much guidance out there. And so that's a good point for businesses to look at to see, how they should be operating in the near term.
Right. Bottom line is we're trying to get people ready ahead of time so that when we do get the green light, we can hit the ground running and get people up and running.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to add, Dennis? Are we good?
I think that committee, Dan Spencer, our Board of Selectmen chairman, was all over that from the beginning and really got that off and running. And we're sensitive to the fact that the sooner we can get people back to work, which is where they want to be. They don't want to be sitting at home collecting unemployment. They want to be back to work, getting their businesses thriving and contributing to the state's economy and getting us back to normal.
Very true. Thank you. Larry, did you have another
I just had a question for Jim. Jim, we've gotten a couple of calls asking where to find the application that businesses need to fill out to start the ball rolling in terms of getting them approved.
Yep. So the application's posted on our website, but on our website being bellinghamma.org under the boards and committees, economic development subcommittee, application and checklist. The checklist is almost more important because that's the safe social distancing and proper management for reopening that the guidance from the Department of Public Health. So that's going to be the key there. That's the checklist that our inspection team is going to look at when they go out on site to see if if you're meeting all those standards. So the application's there, the checklist is there, my contact's there. So if there's any questions, concerns, if even as small as does this even apply to me? Give me a call. I'm happy to chat with you.
All right, thanks, Jim.
And as Jim said, and I think it needs to be emphasized, we're not looking to jump ahead of what the state's allowing. The governor's going to be making some announcements on Monday, and we just want to make sure that our businesses are ready to go when he says we're ready to go, when the state feels that they can operate safely.
Right, exactly. And we are really keyed up for success already. We've got a team with Mark leading the charge with how to make sure that you're following the guidelines so that there's no delay in getting you up and running. So a lot of work behind the scenes, but please make sure you check the website to look at those references, not only with what the state's doing, but what we're doing here locally to support you as one of our businesses.
And if I could, try to get your applications in as quickly as possible because we'll end up with a large pile and we'll have to get out there and investigate per se each or inspect each business. So it's going to take some time. So get those applications in early so the committee can review them. And I want to make sure I send out, Jim worked really hard on this committee, put all these documents together. He should get some praise for that because it was no easy task. So thank you very much, Jim, for taking care of that. And we'll get the businesses up and running and get Bellingham back up and have people come visit.
Absolutely. The place to be, Bellingham,
Yes.
Massachusetts. All right, with that said, I think that concludes our program. Just want to turn
Excellent.
over to Mark for his send-off as he does every day.
Yeah, so as usual, what we do is we send off with a couple items. If you have any questions in regards to COVID for Massachusetts, it's 211. If you have any questions or concerns about your workplace or some benefits, you can call the Massachusetts Attorney General at 617-727-3465. And please remember that they do have business hours, so you may get transferred to a recording if you don't call if you call after business hours. So.
Right. And then to reiterate for Bellingham specific, as you mentioned, if you're a local business, the email address is covid19business@bellingham.org. I always forget the MA.
That's it. No,
And-
good job.
And if you have questions, as you know, if you've been watching the show every day at 10 o'clock, we do answer the questions that come into the COVID-19 email address at bellingham.ma.org. So please continue to send your questions along.
And just a reminder that we did change the format a little bit for these meetings. It's now Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I just want to make sure everyone understands that. We tried to break it down so we can give you better information.
And keep our guests as exciting as the wizard,
Yeah.
James Kupfer. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.